Okay, hello, welcome to today's Studio Armor Review. We're continuing our look at the Dragonmasters and my Exodites army. Using the Tyranid codex, I've used the Gene Stealer profile to present to you the Sundered Knights. The Dragon Knights and Dragon Riders share a strong empathic bond with their beast mounts, making them a formidable team in combat. In fact, the rider is seriously wounded or falls from the saddle, his mount will carry him off the battlefield, often saving his life in the process. It's an extremely intense bond that really only ends with the death of the dragon, but such a strong bond is so powerful and deep that severing that bond can be devastating. If the dragon dies of a natural death through age or illness, or injuries suffered from hunting or irregular pack behavior, the bond ends kind of with a trauma similar to any other death in the family. However, if the dragon was killed in battle, the end of the bond is significantly more traumatic, as the dragon's consciousness is literally torn from its master. Now, this leaves the Dragon Knight or Dragon Rider in a state of overwhelming grief, so profound that they seek to honor their fallen mount by pursuing victory in battle, using only close combat weapons as a means to honor his mount. It's not uncommon for a Dragon Knight who has lost his mount in battle to descend into a despairing grief, drifting away from his clan and seeking an honorable death worthy of the memory of his fallen companion. For this reason, the Sundered Knights seek out close combat above all other forms of combat. Most, however, are able to link with other dragons who console them in that grief. Therefore, they aren't really seeking death. Just a few individuals might. Now, they are seeking the honor for the memory of their mount, which will only be cut short if the Sundered Knight dies. Now, driven by grief, the knight will fashion a cloak from his mount's hide in an attempt to keep his beast's spirit with him. Often he will even craft a new helmet from the spikes, bones, and hide of his beloved mount. However, those consumed by grief and actually seeking an honorable death may simply forego the use of a helmet of any type. He becomes a Sundered Knight whose style of combat mimics that of his fallen mount. The Sundered Knight's choice of weapon is very personal, and it always is a set of melee weapons, never ranged weapons. They are usually selected from the weapons he used when riding his mount, but other times the weapons are selected because they artfully represent some aspect of the fallen mount's combat abilities. In either case, the weapons are equally deadly. Now, during their self-exile, they are no longer really a member of any clan, behaving much like the craft world outcasts known as rangers. They dwell in natural shelters found or fashioned by the knight himself as he wanders his world. They live off the land and shun contact with any except as necessary to protect other Exodites. Their clothing displays wear of this difficult lifestyle. When an Exodite world is threatened by attack or invasion from outsiders, these pitiable loners will band together as if by instinct, and they sweep out of the depths of the jungle, aid unlooked for, seeking to drive off the invaders. They desire to spare their brethren from the same dismal fate and to protect the peaceful tranquility of their homeworlds. This is the sad background of a Sundered Knight. Now, in fact, the Dragonmaster warlords themselves, especially the psychic ones, the ones who actually are able to ride some of the larger beasts and manifest psychic powers, they are also susceptible to the same overwhelming grief, but the only difference with them is that they don't have that drive to ever have that drive to find an honorable death. Instead, they will find other dragons kind of to not bond with, but connect psychically with to kind of ease that pain, and they'll even ride them. It doesn't replace their old mount. They don't form that psychic bond anymore. But what happens is they basically turn their passion almost inward. Now all they want to do, instead of leading the war hosts, is they want to basically bring together the fallen knights, the other Sundered Knights, and lead them. And their psychic powers actually kind of morph as well. No longer are they able to cast whatever powers they used to be. Instead, what they are now able to do is, because they are so consumed by that grief, they actually project that into the mind of their enemy and cripple them with that intense, overwhelming grief. I don't know if you've ever felt any kind of terrible grief like that, but I know if you have, you know that it basically puts you out of action. And so that's what's going on with when a Dragonmaster warlord loses his mount and he becomes essentially a Sundered warlord. So at first, when I looked at these Sundered Knights in the Exodite fluff, I thought, hey, they kind of sound a lot like, in abilities wise, the striking scorpions. I thought, great, I can do that. And so the original Exodite hunters, if you saw back in my house clan video, the models that actually are Exodite hunters there, those used to be what I was doing with Sundered Knights. But then I found this Gene Stealer. The Gene Stealer's abilities, especially with the infiltrate abilities, and now with the new formations even more so, and the fact that they're only close combat, it really seemed to fit the concept that I had in my mind of that Sundered Knight, that Exodite with that desperate grief. So I went ahead and I basically made another set of Black Ark Corsairs with only hand weapons. But the hand weapons had to be a little different because the Gene Stealer profile has a very limited set of weapons you can take. But it matches very similarly in some of the effects with what the Dragonmasters and Dragon Riders can take. Now granted, they don't have lash whips and bone swords and all, but remember, they're on foot, so they don't have that same hitting power that they would if they had a mount. So they've got scything talons, they've got their rending claws, and so I decided that it makes a lot of sense that they would utilize their Dragon Lance. Of course, now it has to be used on foot, so they're going to basically ritually break their Dragon Lance, symbolizing the break of their psychic bond with their mount. Or they'll continue to use the Dragon Glaive, that's what I've got here in front of you with two different models. This is just essentially a lance, Dragon Lance, cut down and spliced back together so that it looks like he's holding the top half of the spear, or sorry, not spear, the lance. Now you can use the lances out of the out of the Cold One Knights kits, or you can use spears from any of the other elven warrior packages. Just cut it down. As long as the tip of the spear looks similar to what you've got for some of your other Cold One Knights or Dragonmaster, Dragon Knights. Now, the Exodite Glaive, that's this one right here. This is one of the spear-like weapons, polearms, available from the old Warhammer Dark Elf regiment. And that is what I use to represent the Dragon Glaive and the Exodite Glaive. This is what I use to represent the Demiclaves that the Dragon Warriors or Incubi Sergeant uses. Even the Archite Glaive weapon that the Succubus would use. All of them would be this weapon. And it's simply, I represent different styles of combat to specify a different weapon stats, but it uses the same model, that same Dragon Glaive or same Glaive polearm type of a thing. Now, all of these also have just a regular second offhand dagger. The Dark Elf Corsairs actually do come with this blade. It looks very much like a Dragon Lance already, so that's one of the things that really inspired me to take that approach. Now, in all cases, they will always be armed with two weapons. Either it's another sword, or like the other model, just a regular dagger. Now, when it comes to the Sundered Warlord, they basically have their weapon set is a little stronger version, if you will, of what the rest of them have. And so I just basically represent that by having a mounted spear That's the spearman. That's basically the way it works. So in all cases, it's really easy to build these. You're really just converting a single model kit and using them to replace the Genestealer models. The kit comes with 10. The basic Genestealer unit is 5. Now the formations that they've got available to them, one of them requires 5 different units of at least 5. So you're going to need 3 boxes of these to go forward with that. But the reason I love these is that I will often give them the poison weapons, because they are only strength 3, I think. No, they are strength 4. So when I'm going up against something a little heavier than Space Marines, especially like the monstrous creatures, I definitely want that extra insurance of a 4-up, because I don't know that I can count on having as many attacks as in a whole unit, because the unit's going to get whittled down as it gets shot up. So I know it starts with 2 attacks. It's got 3 with having the second weapon. So you're looking at 4 attacks on the charge for each. That's 40 attacks for a base unit, or not base unit, sorry, a 10-man unit. The problem with that is how many times you actually get the whole 10-man unit in there. So when I want to go up against a monstrous creature, this is a really good way of doing it. Having the poison on the rending claws really kind of helps, because I can choose whether to do a 4-up or try to get that 6-up rending attack, depending on what my target is. So again, having that option, having 2 different units, maybe one with the poison, one without, I have a little more flexibility that way. And that still sticks with the whole theme of the Sundered Knights. Some will prefer to represent their mount's combat abilities. Some of them may have used poison sacs or poison coatings, toxins on their blades or claws or whatever while they were alive. And others wouldn't have. So it suits the situation real well. And even the herbal stimulants that you can get for the the adrenal glands that you can get for the Tyranid warriors and the shrikes. Of course, I represent those as herbal stimulants. You can put those on these as well, because they're going to carry those same habits into their sundered part of their life. So having these units, you'll notice that there's a wide variety of colors, and unlike some of my others where it's a single color combination per unit, again, remember, these are drawn from all the different Dragon Knight clans, Dragon Knight units from all the different clans. They're going to fall in combat, and they're going to wander, and they will come together. Whoever happens to be in the area from whatever clan bands together with whatever weapons they've got and join in the defense of the world. So that's the other way I really kind of drive home the storyline of the Sundered Knight. So I hope you kind of see and get some ideas for how you can use some of the other GW models out there to represent some things in the, well, in this case, the Tyranid codex, but you can even think about these in some of the other Eldar codices. Just again, trying to open your minds to other ideas, other ways of approaching models and factions. So let me know what you think below. Share, like, and subscribe if you can, and please let me know how these models or the things I'm presenting to you are giving you ideas, or what you're getting out of these, because I really want to make sure that I'm giving back to you guys in the community. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for sticking with me for this time, and we'll see you in the next Studio Armor review. Bye bye.